Hello, this is Debbie Kay with the League of Women Voters of Portland. You're watching Video Voters Guide or listening to our podcast. With the technical support of Metro East Community Media, we're here today talking with candidates running in the May 17, 2022 primary election. We are grateful for the support of the Carol and Velma Sailing Foundation, the League of Women Voters of Portland Education Fund, Vernier Software and Technology, the Weiss Foundation, and our media partner, Metro East Community Media. With me today is Rene Gonzalez, running for the office of Portland City Commissioner, Position 3. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Debbie.
Tell us about yourself, please, and why you're running for this office.
I'm running to restore Portland's promise. I'm a Latino small business owner with a history of leadership and financial stewardship in the for-profit and nonprofit sectors. I'm a fifth-generation Portlander raising 3 children in the city. Needless to say, I'm deeply tied to Portland's history and deeply vested in its future. Civically, I've engaged in a number of levels in the city of Portland, president of the largest youth soccer club in the city, Library Foundation Board, Portland Children's Museum, as well as leading a statewide effort to safely reopen schools in the pandemic, a 40,000 member organization statewide, bipartisan. I am running primarily because of the crisis in livability we are facing on the streets of Portland, specifically driven by crime and our inability to address homelessness. Thank you.
Thank you. Please explain your ideas for the revitalization of Portland's downtown.
We have to reestablish public safety and cleanliness in our urban core. The city in their central area feels so unsafe, unwelcoming, unclean. We need to clean up our streets and our public transit that accesses it. That's going to start with direct staffing increases for public police in all parts of our city, but in particular in our urban core. Additionally, we have to address head-on the challenges of the unsheltered, which are congregated in some of our highest density areas, including downtown. And we have to address the many criminal elements that have emerged downtown. We have segments of organized crime, the drug trade, prostitution, as well as chop shops and property crimes that have all congregated there, where it's going to take a real commitment to law enforcement and reestablishing both reality and a feeling of public safety downtown. One last piece, we need to look at our public safety and health approaches with respect to downtown, how they compare to other cities, nationwide, and really look at making our city feel more welcoming downtown. Thank you.
Thank you. Our third question, the city and county collaborate through the Joint Office of Homeless Services to address the needs of unhoused individuals in our community. What measures would you recommend to more effectively meet those needs?
Well, one of our biggest challenges is that we poorly define the challenges of the unsheltered. It's a highly segmented population with 80% of our unsheltered suffering from some form of disability. So we need to address the segmented population as it is. First and foremost, we need to establish an acute detox center in the city of Portland. This is for our most ill addicts, where they can be treated on a short term instead of the emergency room, or in some cases, county jail. It's focused on intervention on our sickest addicts. Secondly, we need to prioritize the building of emergency shelter, even if that means the exclusion of long-term investments in housing. We need to get folks off our streets. We need to put them in safer sleeping spaces, which will allow us to congregate services. It will also allow us to enforce existing bans on unsanctioned camping and illegally parked RVs in the city. And then we need to fundamentally, over the medium term, look at how we're going to get more stock of affordable housing in the city. That's a long-term development need beyond the immediate needs of our unsheltered. Thanks.
Thank you. To our audience, you are listening to the Video Voters Guide and the podcast of the League of Women Voters interview of Rene Gonzalez running for City Commission, Position 3. What steps would you take to increase the public's trust and confidence in the Portland Police Bureau?
So our last general session of the Oregon legislature adopted over 20 pieces of legislation addressing either police oversight, accountability, or police conduct. I think it is crucially important that we give these measures some time in order for us to fully evaluate both their impacts, unintended consequences, and what requires further refinement. So first and foremost, a study of what we've already done, what we've already adopted. Second, we need to modify and really reset the rhetoric coming out of City Hall with respect to public safety, as well as in social media and in the press. There is a defund police culture that has permeated so much of City Hall and at times our press, and we need to reset. We need to hold our police accountable, but we need to also cheerlead when they've done things well. Last but not least, understaffed police departments are the most likely to suffer from police misconduct. We need to ensure adequate police funding that will and hold them accountable for response time and measure those and track very closely.
Thank you. I think we have time for one more question. What reforms do you favor in the government of the city of Portland? And please elaborate on your answer.
Sure. Well, first, we need to professionalize the oversight of city bureaus, and whether that's through a city manager, as currently proposed in the Charter Reform Commission's report, or some variation thereof. Elected officials overseeing bureaus is a poor model and antiquated. So first and foremost, need to address that. Second, geographical representation for legislators, which our commissioners would evolve to under a evolved city council, is crucial. So that means that a neighborhood individual knows exactly who to call at City Hall for outreach. And I think that will keep the connection between voters and our elected officials much closer.
Thank you very much. That's all the time we have. I want to thank you for joining us today.
Thanks so much. Oh, sorry.
Certainly. This concludes our Video Voters Guide and our podcast of Rene Gonzalez, running for Portland City Commissioner, Position 3. Thank you to our audience for being informed voters. Please tell your family and friends about these election resources. Election Day is Tuesday, May 17th. Be sure to exercise your right to vote. Thank you.
Thank you.